Okay, so we were talking about spirits and how all spirits are invisible, and God is spirit, God is invisible, but that doesn't mean that you can't perceive God. You can perceive things um, without necessarily seeing. You see the effect, just like you jump up in the air and you come back down to the ground. You see the effect, you perceive the effect of the gravity. You don't see the gravity, you perceive the effect. It's the same with God. You perceive God, you perceive the effect of God, you look at the wonders, you look at the complexity of creation, you look at all the goodness, the life, the things that are godly, the things pertaining to God. Just take a walk. Take a walk. Get out of the city. Get away from everything man-made. Take a walk in nature and see the beauty. Smell it and taste it and perceive the effect of God. And it's a wonderful, pleasant, beautiful, wonderful thing. Moses, wanted to perceive God, and I forgot just, I think he asked to see his glory. Let's see here in Exodus 34. Um, and so God gave him perception of him. Moses didn't see God with his eyes. He gained perception, and this is what happened here. Yahweh descended in the cloud and stood with him there and proclaimed the name Yahweh. Yahweh passed by before him and proclaimed, Yahweh, Yahweh, a merciful and gracious God, slow to anger, and abundant in loving kindness and truth, keeping loving kindness for thousands, forgiving iniquity and disobedience and sin, and that will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children, and on the children's children, and on the third and fourth generation. So, now, with these words, just like Moses heard them, we have gained perception of God. We've gained perception of God in all the effects of God. You go out and eat a berry that's growing in the backyard, and that's an effect of God. And you are perceiving God. You look at the sky and the stars, and you think about the wonders. You look at the mighty rivers and mountains and forests and all God's creation, and you perceive the effect of God. We're just about over, well, yes, it says somewhere that no man can stand in the presence of God or see God and live. It's God is beyond us. We are puny, tiny little things in God's creation, and God is more immense than everything because it all comes from Him. So there's no way that we can approach to God in a physical situation, like another man. God is not a man, and that's a bad idea to ever think of God as a man. God is a tremendous, powerful, intelligent, purposeful, and the characters of loving, truth, and kindness, and loving and kind and forgiving. These are characteristics of God, and this gives us perception of the creative spirit of the universe. God is the creative spirit of the universe. We see that the Elohim are doing God's will, that they are the fingers of God doing God's will. So then we see, so that we can think about spirits now. Now God, just because God is spirit doesn't mean He isn't real. So that's what I was trying to clear up last time. He's absolutely real. You because the complexity, the purpose, that everything. Speaking of purpose, it reminds me of Darwin. I don't know if I said this before, but I found it so interesting. I can remember when they first I don't know, had the idea about DNA, and then they found these things in the cell. Wow, it's a program. You know, these these this is a program for creating proteins to build the building blocks, everything you need. It's all like a computer in this DNA. So anyway, so mankind thought that they had really found something here, and you know, Darwin had this idiotic idea of accidental. What did he call it? It was survival of the fittest, and oh, there's a word for it. How whatever the best qualities, whenever there's an accident in the DNA and something, some mutation happens, you know, if it's beneficial, it'll stay and so forth. So anyway, that was Darwin and his selection of the fit survival was fittest selection. I can't natural selection. Maybe that's the word I'm looking. Natural selection. Anyway, okay. All right. It's hard to try and keep from going up on these tangents one after another and never getting to the end of any of them. So, okay, so back to Darwin. They're still teaching this idiotic lie in the schools, and it's been over a decade that they have totally disproved it. He went to the Galapagos Islands, and he found that on the different islands, finches had adapted. They've grown different kinds of beaks. They've, you know, just completely changed, and they were all genetically finches, you know. They were all the same kind of bird, but they changed on each one of the islands to adapt to the environment. He says, wow, that's where natural selection comes in. That's where he got this idea. All of and so anyway, so I don't know how old I was, but I think it was in the 60s where they finally started trying to map the human genome, the DNA, human DNA, you know, with all the different things that are programmed into the DNA, and they were mapping it, and anyway, they got it done a lot faster than they expected to. And then after they finished with the humans, they were doing all kinds of things. And what? Somebody did those finches. And guess what? There is no natural selection. That all the different types of finch are in the programming of all of them. There's no accidental mutation. There's purpose. You know, it talks about how when the Elohim, God, through the Elohim, created the animals, how he set each one, how it was going to be. And that's exactly what they found in the finches, just like the Bible told us. Same thing. And it just totally disproves this idiotic idea about this accidental mutations, natural selection. It's been totally disproved, disproved for over a decade now, and they're still teaching it and talking about it as if it was a fact. Anyway, that was, now there was a serious tangent. I don't even remember what got me on it now. I'm sorry. Anyway, God is the creative spirit. God is intelligent. God sets up things the way he wants them to be. And we were reading characteristics of God. That's how we have perception of God. We have perception of God through his holy word. We have perception of God through the wonders of his creation. So we can perceive God. And because something's invisible doesn't mean it's not real. When you feel the breeze outside, you don't see anything, you just feel it. And that's the way it is with God. You feel God, you perceive God, you see the effects of God. So, God, the Elohim, you know, it says how they put into each one of the animals the characteristics of that animal, so that each kind of animal would have the same kind of animal children, you know. And so anyway, there was an exception here now with humanity. They were given a potential beyond the animals. The animals are biological robots. Yeah, I know. I love my pets and everything, but that doesn't change the fact that they are biological robots. All they can do is respond the way they're programmed to. But anyway, when the Elohim were creating mankind now, they did something different and made mankind like the Elohim. We are given something that the animals aren't. We're given a mind that we can use to make decisions on things that maybe don't even exist. Maybe just probabilities and possibilities that we're thinking up. What if this? Well, let's do an experiment. Whatever. This is what we call free will. I believe in cause and effect, and I believe in free will. Free will is where you can do something without having a direct cause. Now the animals can't. There's a cause for everything that they do, and our basic animal nature is all programmed. We're just programmed biological robots, just like all the other animals, except for this little tiny piece of us, which is our mind, and we can imagine things, and we can learn things that we have never seen. We can make these logical deductions and extrapolations from things that we see and know, and think up possibilities about the future and everything. And so we have free will. It isn't just a direct cause and effect. You throw apple in the air, it comes back down, right? No. So if we were the apple, we would have the choice of not coming straight down. We'd have free will. Basically, everything around you is going to be cause and effect, except for what comes from your mind. This is where we have perception of God. These words that we just read about God has given us a perception about God that we didn't experience in any way except through these concepts that just went into our mind. All right? And we can use these things to be like the Elohim. But first we have the natural and then the spiritual. We are all born just plain robots. Our basic motivations are greed, selfishness, and pride. Arrogance. We call it arrogance. The Bible calls it the pride of life. It's arrogance. Thinking we're the center of the universe. Most important thing that there is, So those are the subroutines of our robotic motivations. And you look at mankind, and unless this person has been touched by God and can perceive things other than himself, everything that he ever says or does, everybody you see, are all from these programmed subroutines of greed, selfishness, and arrogance. I'm going to take you to the passage here, if I can find it real quick, in 1 John, where I get this idea about the greed, selfishness, and arrogance. That was 1 John. Oh, wait a minute. Here it is. Okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Now, don't love the world, neither the things that are in the world. If anyone loves the world, okay, now what we're talking about is all the programming, the things that are set up, all the beautiful, wonderful things that are set up. I mean, and there's nice people that don't know God. I mean, so don't get me wrong. Okay, but anyway, it's all programmed. If anyone loves the world, the Father's love isn't in him. The Father's love isn't in him. See, now the difference between God and man is love. Well, I mean, I know okay. In our motivations. All right. God is motivated by love. We are motivated by greed, selfishness, and arrogance. Okay, so we have this different motivations. If anyone loves the world, the Father's love isn't in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life isn't the Father's, but it's the world's. The world is passing away with its lusts, but he who does God's will remains forever. If we perceive God, look around you, see God. See the effects of God. If you perceive God, you can learn his will, you can do it, you can last, you can live forever. But the things of the world, the things of this animal world, this animal programming, these things, if you're motivated by the greed, selfishness, and arrogance, then all these things are passing away. It's all just a waste of time. It's. I know there's pleasures, there's little pleasures, and you have expectations. But as you get older, you find out that all of your expectations just turn into disappointments. Everything that you pursue in the world, besides God, I'm not saying any pursuit of perception of God, because that is beneficial and it's useful and it'll make you live a better life and a more fulfilling and a pleasant life. Because all you can get from serving the world and pursuing the things of the world is frustration and disappointment, vanity and vexation of the spirit. That's all that there is without God. So anyway, so what we've got here is there's the difference between man and God. God is motivated by love. You know how we saw they were talking about characteristics of God, how that he's forgiving and kind and loving, and these are not human characteristics. This is something totally alien to human nature, but it can be acquired through perceiving the effects of God and coming to know God. So what it's about is, I want you to perceive God. I want you to see God. Don't think that you are God. You're not. My dad was a very, very quiet person. Didn't speak much. Once in a while he'd say a word or two. And I can remember one time I was eating lunch one, and I was talking, oh man, I'm getting scared. Life is too good. I'm enjoying things. I was recently married, and I don't know, I had a good job. Things were just cruising, I'm kind of scared that God's going to, how am I getting any development by having such a pleasant, easy life? I'm afraid God's going to strike me with some kind of plague or something. He said, Jim, don't worry, you're not that important. You see, we're so arrogant that we think we're the center of the universe. It's natural to us. Well, we're just tiny little things. We're tiny little things. You read the book of Job. Why did poor Job have all these problems? It wasn't because he was bad. It wasn't because God was evil. It was because God's plan is God manifestation. God is going to make his creation good through God manifestation. I don't know, I'm probably losing all the young ones with this stuff. Anyway, a lot of times people suffer not because they, well, you bring a lot of suffering on yourself. I don't want you to get, I do believe in cause and effect, but I believe also in free will. I believe that God has free will, and that the similarity that we have been given to the Elohim is the potential for free will. People don't exercise it. I mean, you know, the average person, they don't reason things out. They're victims. They never initiate any action. They never use their mind. They shut their mind off with drugs and TV and radio and iPods and all this stuff. Oh, they do all those things so they never have to think. They want to be animals. They want to be like a maggot, just stuff as much in as they can, just jump, 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 eat, until they're just ready to pop, and then they're dead, right? And that's that. That's the motivation. That's what they know. That's what they want. Pathetic. I feel sorry for them. A lot of people I like. I feel sorry that they choose to be maggots. Don't be a maggot. Be an Elohim. That's what God wants. You can have a fulfilling and happy life choosing God and choosing life instead of choosing selfishness and death. Okay, so that's enough for this one. I'll go on. We'll continue along these same lines. I hope, you know, I'm hoping that some of my loved ones, you know, I don't get a chance to talk to them like this often, you know, and so I'm hoping that some of my loved ones will watch these things, and I'm hoping that it will change them. Don't choose the world. Don't choose death. Choose life. Choose life. Every day you are constantly making decisions. You can use this thing that makes us like the Elohim, and you can choose good instead of the programmed animal nature. The programmed animal nature is death. You can learn of God in His holy word and perceiving Him in His creation. So I wish you well, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye.